Test, test, test. Test, 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 test. All right, here we go. What is up, everybody? Rolling Insights Hockey Show, December 1st. We've made it through American Thanksgiving. We are now officially at the point where 75% of teams that are in the playoffs at this point will make it to the playoffs. Some big name teams that are still sitting on the outside looking in. Some teams that are in the playoffs right now that are surprising. We'll go through all of them. Also, this week we're going to do our Eastern Conference wish list. Christmas is coming up, so this week we're going to do the Eastern Conference. We're going to go through the teams. We'll go what they have on their wish list for each of them. One thing that they hope for the rest of the season, maybe further seasons as well. Depends on the team. We'll see what we go through. We'll also take a look around the league at the games tonight. Some of the marquee matchups through the rest of the week as December is in full swing. Couple weeks left. Obviously, they get a Christmas break, and then only a couple months away from the Olympics as well. Teams, I believe, they have to have their rosters. I think it's got to be sometime in December. Let's see. Rosters have to be in. Nah, I can't find it. Anyway, it's sometime in December that the rosters have to be in. So that'll be exciting as well. See who's going to make it. Obviously, there's some people that are on the cusp that need kind of a big couple weeks here that can play their way back onto the roster. Some people who could play their way off of a roster as well. Just even looking at it, obviously we've talked about Braden Point in depth due to his struggles. He was one of the guys that was one of the first 6 announced for Team Canada, so he's obviously going to be going, and I don't think that you would leave him off even if you didn't take him as the first 6. But a guy who is really struggling points wise. I think he doesn't even have 5 goals yet. I have him on my fantasy team, so I should know this. He's obviously injured right now, which plays a part in it. But yeah, 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points in 21 games. That's on pace for by far the worst of his career, worse than his rookie season. He had decent points rookie season, 40 points in 68 games, but right now he's on pace for right around that 40-point mark, which obviously with the profile that he has, the team that they have scoring 50, 46, and 42 in his last 3 seasons, it's a pretty steep drop off. But it hasn't seemed to affect Tampa. Tampa's gone on a crazy streak here. And we can talk about them as well since they do play some big games this week coming up. Obviously, Vasilevsky bouncing back has been big for them. That's been something to keep an eye on. Obviously, Hurt didn't have much of a training camp, but now he looks good. So let's get into it. We will look at the games for tonight, and then we'll get into wish lists for the teams, give you a beer league update, and then we'll go from there and see what we have left for time. Tonight we have a small schedule. We only have 4 games, but some big ones. A rivalry game tonight, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. That's always a great game. Think back to Claude Giroux. I can't remember what year it was. Maybe somebody knows in the comments here. What year was it that Pierre Maguire called Claude Giroux the best player in the league over Sidney Crosby? I think it was probably 2010, maybe. No, that wouldn't have made sense. Anyway, it was around that time. And since that point, it's always been Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, obviously Battle Pennsylvania. But there's been some heated matchups since then. Claude's obviously long gone. He's in Ottawa. But Crosby still remains. Most of the core of the Penguins still remains. Philly's obviously moved on to a completely different core. Yeah, I mean, it should be a good game. Pittsburgh had a real tough night Saturday night against Toronto, which makes me feel great. But honestly, it was more about Pittsburgh being bad than Toronto being good. So, I mean, I still feel good about it. It's a 7-2 win for Toronto. They needed a bounce back game. Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, I always take Crosby to score in these games because somehow he finds a way. Also, kudos to Crosby. Moved into 15th all time in goal scoring, which I feel like has been somewhat overshadowed just because of we see Ovechkin, obviously the greatest goal scorer in the world now, has the most goals ever. But back in 2006 or 2005-6, whenever both of those guys first entered the league, the rivalry between them was pretty crazy. And I think we always knew they were going to be two of the best players. But the fact that they're both top 15 in goals, Crosby's not a goal scorer. But I think if Ovechkin didn't come into the league and Crosby was, I think he would be known more as a goal scorer. But I think because of the time and how they both came in, people just kind of recognize, obviously, Ovechkin is the greatest goal scorer ever. So the difference is there. But that should be a fun one. That's a 7:00 puck drop on the East. Jersey and the Blue Jackets, another divisional game. So back 2 divisional games in the Metro here that matter a lot, standings-wise for sure. Obviously, Jersey has been playing pretty well. They're close to Carolina. Obviously, that division is going to kind of come down to the wire. Washington's had a big bounce back. They didn't start the season hot, but 7-2-1 in their last 10 has obviously gotten them up the standings. Pittsburgh and Philly 1-2 in the wild card right now, 31 points and 29 points. Both of those teams in it after American Thanksgiving. Chance that they both make it is there for sure. I mean, the teams below them, like Ottawa's scuffling. You assume Florida and Toronto are going to get it going at some point. Ottawa, you assume as well, will probably get it going at some point again. But I mean, you really never know. The divisions are up for grabs, and some good races coming down the wire here before the Christmas break. That'll be a fun one. I don't really have anything for Columbus, Jersey. Columbus is fighting for everything they have as well, 2 points out of a playoff spot. They've been decimated by injuries, as a lot of teams have. And then Winnipeg, Buffalo, that'll be on Amazon Prime. Sorry, we have a 5-game schedule. I think I said 4, but Amazon Prime will have Winnipeg here in Canada, Winnipeg and Buffalo, Anaheim and St. Louis, and then nightcap Utah and San Jose. Surprisingly, a good game, Utah San Jose. Like San Jose is not. Excuse me, they are not out of it. These teams are tied. They have the exact same record, 12-11-3. And for some reason, the game's in San Jose and Utah is favored. I get it. I mean, San Jose still, the game's in San Jose, Utah's favored. I get that the Sharks are still maybe kind of dealing with like last year's thought process from the sports books, but they're a better team than people give them credit for now. They're hot, young team, kind of turning on the gas here, just like Anaheim. I think there's a lot to watch for there. That game will be a lot of fun. And yeah, Anaheim, St. Louis as well. We said that'll be a fun game. Some injury notes here. Pastrnak obviously still remains out. Jimmy Snuggerud from St. Louis is out 6 weeks, and it's a big loss. I mean, I know it's his rookie year. I mean, they're probably going to be near the bottom of the league, and it might be time to sell off already. Binnington to Edmonton might be out there, but we'll see. We'll see. I think there's a lot more going to be some activity before the trade freeze comes up here around Christmas. I think you'll see some deals being made. Especially if you others. Obviously, Skinner had a shutout this weekend, so that maybe bought him a little bit of time, bought Edmonton a little bit of time to figure out what's going on behind him. So we will see there. Some good games though tonight. I like that Pittsburgh Philly game. That'll be a really fun one. Winnipeg's in Buffalo. Going back to like the Evander Kane, Dustin Byfuglien days, Winnipeg Buffalo just seems to be kind of a sneaky, dirty game always. So that'll be a fun one to watch. Moving on here, I want to talk about the rest of the week and looking at some big games. Obviously, tomorrow night, probably the biggest night of the week, I would say, as far as some rivalry games. We got Boston, Detroit, good division matchup. Ottawa, Montreal, division matchup. Toronto, Florida, division matchup. Some big games: Vancouver, Colorado, Minnesota, Edmonton. Minnesota's been one of the hotter teams in the league lately. Got them and Colorado are obviously fighting for that division crown right now. Some big games there. Toronto, Florida is obviously the one I'm going to be watching tomorrow night. Just Toronto maybe seems to be starting to turn it around. Big games from their third line. Dakota Joshua obviously finally shows up, lays some massive hits, scores a goal, is all over the ice. Nick Watts, who some guys there that really needed to get going and are now getting going. Looking ahead to the rest of the week, what do we got for big games here? Not much. I mean, there's not too many premier matchups. Yeah, it might be a little bit of a thinner week. Winnipeg Montreal is a fun game on Wednesday night. That's a good matchup. Winnipeg making their West Coast or East Coast swing. St. Louis Boston, little match, old Stanley Cup matchup. Montreal Toronto Saturday night. If you've got one matchup this week that's kind of going to be popcorn, you got to think about that one. Montreal absolutely obliterated Toronto last time they played. Toronto was in rock bottom. That was definitely rock bottom, at least in my view. It was my rock bottom, that's for sure. Anytime Toronto plays in Montreal, it's like I don't even care if they lose so much as they just can't get blown out, because if they get blown out, then all I'm hearing is ole, ole, ole. And in that game last week, it was like I was hearing Olays from 5 minutes into the first period. That's how bad it was for the Leafs. They really need to bounce back. I know it's at home for Toronto, but that can almost be worse. There could be some jerseys on the ice if this week doesn't go well for Toronto. A bounce back game in Pittsburgh was good, but now they need to really capitalize on it. That's the week ahead. Obviously, some Canadian team matchups, which is what we always focus on because we're in Canada. Anyway, we're gonna move on here to wish lists for each of the Eastern Conference teams, and what I think anyway they're going to be asking Santa for this year for Christmas. I think we'll go through top to bottom. We'll start with the Atlantic Division. We'll go down that list, and then we'll queue it back up for the Metro. So let's get to it here. I'm going to bring up the Stanley Cup odds just because this is kind of where we'll sit, as well as the division winner odds. We'll go through the Atlantic first here, and we will. One thing that they're going to be asking Santa for as Christmas comes up in a few weeks here. Starting off with the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is an obvious one. I think it's one we already talked about. Health for sure is one thing I think they're going to be looking for. Obviously, they got some older guys, Hedman. Kucherov's not a young guy anymore, so they'll be battling. But I think for Tampa, it's got to be the return of Braden Point. It's got to be the resurgence of Braden Point. As good as they are right now, they won 7 in a row. I don't think they really get anywhere playoffs-wise without Braden Point being at his absolute best, or even close to it, because right now he's nowhere close to it. I would say Tampa Bay, the only thing they're asking for right now is Braden Point to return to some kind of form. And they've got to be hoping that the Olympics are kind of the point that he's going to be turning around. Obviously, John Cooper's the coach for Canada. I'll be going over there with him. No one knows Braden Point better than his head coach. And you got to hope that there's a turnaround there. For the Boston Bruins, you got to just be hoping that Morgan Geekie somehow continues on this torrid pace. I mean, it is ridiculous Morgan Geekie has already blown past his career high in goals. He has, I believe he's at 19 now. He's at 20. He scored his 20th goal. Morgan Geekie is tied for the league leading goals with 20, and he's tied with Nathan MacKinnon, who is getting talked about like it's the greatest season ever, and it is. It's incredible what he's doing leading that team. But Morgan Geekie has 20 goals. The season is not half over, and he is almost halfway to 50. We could be talking about, this is like, to me, if Morgan Geekie scores 50 goals, this is a million times more impressive than when Zach Hyman scored 50 goals. Because Morgan Geekie is never, I mean, he's on the top line strictly because they don't have a lot of options. But he's really only playing with like Pastrnak, maybe. Power play is obviously getting some good time there. But the fact that Morgan Geekie's got 20 goals, they've got to be asking Santa for just like even 50% of that the rest of the season. If Morgan Geekie can, I mean, even if he hits 35 goals in the season, even 30 goals, I mean, you got to be like thanking your lucky stars. I mean, if we look at his career numbers here, he's got 92 goals over a 360 game career. This year, he's got 20 goals in 27 games. He's got almost a third of his goals career in one season, and he's been in the league for like 7 years now. Previous career high was 33 with Boston last year. He should blow. That was in 77 games. He scored 33 goals in 77 games. This year, he's got 20 and 27. His shooting percentage is at 28.6 right now. Last year's at 22, sky high. I mean, no one could see a second year like this coming, but it's pretty impressive what he's doing. So the Boston Bruins, they're honestly they're asking Santa. They wrote it down. Morgan Geekie, continuation of what he's been doing. And if he continues on this pace, I mean, he'll score 60, which would be absolutely incredible. I doubt it's going to happen. I don't know what the odds are right now. Let me take a quick look, actually. Rocket Richard odds. Let's take a look at it's probably MacKinnon right now is the favorite. This was preseason. This is current. So current, it's MacKinnon plus 225. Morgan Geekie's plus 1800. And I mean, like, you could do worse than Morgan Geekie at plus 1800 to win the goal scoring title. It's not out of the realm of possibility. You might be able to make some money there. But that's a name I didn't expect. Obviously, MacKinnon, Draisaitl, Kaprizov, Robertson's extremely hot lately. Bedard, McDavid, Caulfield. These guys are like expected to be there. Matthews is plus 7,500. If he starts to get going, you could see him maybe moving his way up. But the fact that Morgan Geekie doesn't belong on that list, but he does. He does. He very much deserves respect. And I haven't been giving him any. So Boston Bruins are just hoping that Morgan Geekie continues. For the Montreal Canadiens, consistent goaltending. That's really all they got to be asking for. One of Dobish or Montembeault to take the ball and run with it. So far, it hasn't been either of the guys. Montembeault's had some terrible starts. Montembeault's had some great starts. Dobish has been awful for a few games, and then he bounces back. You can't, like, they're winning right now. They're not winning right now. They're struggling a little bit. Outside of blowing out Toronto, they have not been doing well. But both have played 13 games, and they both have above 3 goals against average. Dobish with a 3.22, Montembeault with a 3.49, 888 and 864 save percentages, respectively, there as well. Both have 12 wins or 12 starts. Both have kind of won a few games. Both have been pulled. It's got to just be consistency. Someone to take the net. Other than that, you look at the roster, like Suzuki's playing great. Caulfield's having a good season. Hudson and Demidov are having good seasons as well. You can't really complain with anything going on there. It really just has to be some consistent goaltending for the Montreal Canadiens. That's what's on their wish list this year. Now we're out of the top 3. We're into the teams that aren't in the playoffs right now, seeing as Philadelphia and Pittsburgh are holding the 2 wild card spots. The Ottawa Senators, and they kind of already got their Christmas wish. Brady Tkachuk is back. But then they lost back-to-back. They lost to St. Louis, hometown return for Brady Tkachuk. And Not great. And then they got smoked by Dallas. And Dallas, we'll talk about next week in the Western Conference. They don't have anything on their wish list. They just want to continue going on. They smoked them. And now you got a date with Montreal in Montreal, a big divisional matchup. And it doesn't look good. And it's not really like I could say the same thing for Ottawa, consistent goaltending. Ullmark hasn't been great. 874 save percentage. You don't like seeing anything in the 800s unless it's like 899, then you're okay with it. You can kind of deal with it. But 874 for both Linus Ullmark and Leevi Meriläinen, that's not great. That's got to change. Ultimately, though, it is Brady Tkachuk's health. Brady Tkachuk's played 5 games this season. He's got 4 points. He's the captain. He's the heart and soul of that team. Without him, they are not a playoff team. With him, they are a playoff team and can be competitive for a Stanley Cup. I think they're that good. They do have depth, but they need Brady Tkachuk to be kind of the driving force. Tim Stützle's having a good year, 23 points, 25 games, but it's just not enough. Brady Tkachuk is back, but he needs to stay healthy. He is kind of the reason that team made the playoffs last year and had any chance against Toronto. I mean, when Brady Tkachuk finally showed up in that series, it's what made it a series. So it's got to be Brady Tkachuk's health that they are hoping for, that he just continues and comes back at full strength. The Ottawa Senators to win the division are plus 950. So not terrible. I think they could compete for the division if Tkachuk shows up and is back at full health. But that's still to be seen. The same could be said for the Florida Panthers. Tkachuk coming back full health would be what they need as well. But Detroit Red Wings, I think what's on their wish list is a trade for somebody that comes in and helps them. We obviously know Steve Yzerman has been reluctant, would be taking it easy on him, reluctant to pull any moves at recent trade deadlines. And obviously I know the trade deadline's in March. It's a long ways away, but I would argue they need something to shift the tide now. This is the rest of the league, but the 500 NHL is really what it is lately. Every team is kind of hovering around the 600, 550, 600 points percentage. They need a boost. It's not the goaltending anymore, though they are letting in a lot of goals. They're still scoring, but they need desperately a move that shakes up and brings, like Jordan Kyrou would be a guy I would be looking at if I was the Red Wings. Something to like boost that top 6 forward group. If we look at the numbers, it's like slightly underwhelming for a lot of guys. Their numbers wise, Dylan Larkin's having a great season, but like I think there's just some guys that maybe aren't holding what they need to. Andrew Copp's got 1 goal in 26 games. That's got to change. JT Compher's got 4. Mason Appleton 3. There's some guys there that are lower down the list that you would like to bump even lower down the list by going after somebody. Jordan Kyrou, if St. Louis does open up the floodgates and take offers on whoever they're taking offers on, I think Jordan Kyrou's got to be a guy that that the Detroit Red Wings look at. It's not in their nature to swing big. It's not in their nature to swing at all, really. Steve Yzerman's nature, but that's on my wish list is Jordan Kyrou for the Detroit Red Wings. I think he fits so beautifully there. They're such a fast team. He would slide right in there, and I think he'd be the perfect fit for them. That's my wish list for. They could use a defenseman though too. Honestly, I mean, they don't have. They just need to swing. They need to take a swing. The Florida Panthers. It's kind of a cop out, I think, for me to say to go back to Tkachuk being healthy or Barkov being healthy. Barkov coming back for playoffs. I think for me, it's the continued play of Brad Marchand would probably be up there, but yeah, I think that the Christmas wish list would be. I'll say Sam Bennett needs to bounce back. He's obviously played a little bit better of late. He had a good game against Calgary, even though they lost. But 12 points in 24 games is not going to cut it from your number one center, the guy who kind of had to take over. they have a lot of guys in Florida that are centers that play the wing, and that's all they play. I would say it's Sam Bennett turning it on again, similar to what Braden Point's doing right now um, in Tampa. Sam Bennett has to be that guy. I know he's not a guy who puts up a ton of points in regular seasons anyway. This has been talked about for years. How is he worth the money? And then it comes to playoffs, and everybody's like, "Yeah, he's 100% worth the money." But he's behind pace. I mean, he's a 50-point guy usually, is what you kind of should hope for, high 40s. I guess he's only at 50 once, but you really need him to be a little bit more than he's being right now, based on the fact that they have so many guys out. It's not that he needs to be like a superstar all world, but when guys are out, you need, especially guys like Barkov and Kachuk, you need guys to step up. Marchand has done it. You need Sam Bennett to step up. I think Florida, their wish list is Marchand stepping up. Not Marchand, Sam Bennett stepping up and taking on a little bit more responsibility, scoring wise and points wise. Even though they've had some good. Toronto Maple Leafs. This one is near and dear to my heart, and I thought about this. I've thought about this a lot, and I don't actually know what you would say for the Leafs. The list is it's endless. If we're being honest, the list is quite long. I don't know whether to say Stolar is getting healthy. That doesn't even really seem to be a reason why they're losing games, because Wall's been really good. Whether it's defense getting healthy, we don't even know if Chris Tanev's ever going to play hockey again, or Brandon Carlo coming back and actually being any resemblance of the player that they traded for, or whether it's Max Domi showing up and actually being worth the contract, Dakota Joshua being worth the contract, Matias Maccelli being worth the contract. There's too many guys there that are underperforming. The wish list for the Leafs is too long. I can't think, and I'm a diehard Leafs fan. This is why it's so hard to pick one thing. But if I'm going to pick one thing, and if any of you guys watched the Pittsburgh game against Toronto this weekend, Austin Matthews took a shot from above the circles and beat a goalie clean without really much of a screen. Something I don't think that's been done enough lately. It's Austin Matthews being any sort of resemblance of his old self. He doesn't need to score 70. I don't need to see Austin Matthews score 70. He's never scored 70, he scored 69. I don't need to see him score 69 again. What I do need to see him is I need to see him take over with that release and take over with the body that he is. I'm not 100% convinced that he's not injured for the rest of his career. I'm not convinced that surgery isn't the best option to shut him down. So clean house, trade Riley, all this stuff, and try to get a top 5 pick so you can actually hold on to that first round pick this year. I'm not sure that's the right option or the wrong option. But the game against Pittsburgh, it looked better. The process is there. It's starting to look better. I think the only thing you can hope for, if Matthews can get back to that, the rest of the team can kind of settle in. I think there's a lot of pressure on a lot of the guys down the lineup to kind of show up. It's the same situation around the league. There's a lot of it happening, but I could cop out and say that Maccelli needs to be better and Joshua needs to be better and all this stuff. But if Matthews is better and he comes back to even close to his form, then none of it matters. That's the leader of the team. Nylander's been incredible. Tavares has been incredible, turning back the clock. They need more out of Matthews. They also need more out of Riley. Morgan Riley needs to kind of pick it up. Another thing, this is bad because I have so many wishes for the Toronto Maple Leafs being a fan. Oliver Ekman-Larsson needs to be healthy. He's playing some of the best hockey of his career. It really sucks to see him get hurt in that game. Him coming back would be huge. If you're keeping track, that's too many things on my wish list. The Leafs they've asked Santa for a lot over the years too. They've been in his ear quite a bit. They've been wearing out the postman, sending letters to Santa. Doesn't seem like he's really listening to him anymore. I don't know what happened. But they've got a longer list than normal this year. Usually it's just a Stanley Cup. This year it's maybe just let's get into the playoffs first. Let's get healthy. And then finishing off the Atlantic Division is the Buffalo Sabres. And this is something I wrote about in my my opening for the season, my season previews. The Buffalo Sabres are only good when the Buffalo Bills are not good. This doesn't track back all 14 years they've missed the playoffs because Josh Allen hasn't been around for 14 years. But I am very convinced that the Buffalo Sabres are going to be bad until Josh Allen is out of Buffalo. And this tracks strictly because if you look at the Bills, I've done the scouting on this. Buffalo was playing some pretty good hockey end of October, beginning of November, where they like went on that run. I think they won like 4 in a row or something like that. I'm going to check that though, because I don't want to be wrong and you guys will definitely call me out on it. I think it was like the beginning of October or something like that. Or the end of October, sorry. They were playing some good hockey. And the Buffalo Bills were not. The Bills were slipping. Everybody was wondering if Josh Allen had lost his touch. The Bills were not winning games, and it was starting to not look good. And then even this week, let's like take a look back at this week or 2 weeks ago in the NFL. Buffalo again, they won a game, and the Bills did not. And you got to wonder, they beat Minnesota. I mean, that's a top tier team. You got to wonder. I think they're on their Christmas list is honestly that the Bills don't make the playoffs. I will say, mark my words, if the Bills don't make the playoffs, the Buffalo Sabres will go on a run, and they will get close to the playoffs. I don't know if they'll make it, but this will prove my theory that when the Bills suck, the Sabres will be good because the Pegula family will put a little bit more attention back onto the Sabres. That's just my theory. It's an opinion. Don't knock me for it. The Pegula family, don't come after me. I'm not looking for any blood, but that is my that's my guess. That's my hunch. It's a conspiracy theory, but the Christmas wish list for the Buffalo Sabres is that the Bills don't make the playoffs this year. And not only would that just like be like convert or can't even think of the word right now. Not only would that confirm my theory, but it would also confirm that, or not confirm, but it would give the Bills the heat. If the Bills don't make the playoffs, it is a disaster. The Sabres don't make the playoffs. That happens every year. No one really cares. It's more of a laughingstock at this point. The Bills don't make the playoffs, all pressure's off the Sabres. They don't have to do anything. Till next year, honestly. They could lose every game. No one will care. This Bills didn't make the playoffs. That's all that matters. But that'll be my Christmas wish list there for the Atlantic Division. Moving on to the Metro, I know this is a bit of we're taking a while here, but we'll swing through it fast. Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, probably goaltending is probably the biggest. And I also think that looking ahead, this is once again, maybe not, it's not like a Christmas wish, but they just want to win an Eastern Conference final game. I know they finally got one. They'll get back there. I believe it. I bet you they get back to the Eastern Conference final. They need something to turn. I think Brindamore's a great coach, but they might need to kind of look in the mirror once they get to the Eastern Conference final. The Metro is not the Atlantic. It's not. There's no team in the Metro like Florida. There's no team in the Metro like Tampa, honestly. They want an Eastern Conference. They want a successful Eastern Conference final. That's what Carolina wants, and that's assuming they get there, and I think they're going to. The New Jersey Devils. I mean, Christmas wish list has got to be that Jack Hughes somehow heals from this injury. I haven't seen much news from it recently, except that there was some rumors out there that he was out with Calgary's own Tate McRae. I don't know if it was true, but he did undergo successful surgery. This was a couple weeks ago, so they said 6 to 8 weeks. That's reevaluated. Or sorry, 8 weeks is expected to come back to play. 6 weeks he'll be reevaluated. That's I don't know. We'll see. Cutting your hand it must have been terrible. I don't know what actually happened, but it must have been terrible. So I would say a healthy Jack Hughes, they can tread water without him. Jack Hughes is like New Jersey is good, and they're like a deep enough team that they can kind of make it without him. Make it to the playoffs. Once they get to the playoffs, they need Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes has got to be there. And I also feel terrible for him because this guy has been so close to 100 points so many times. It's like Caulfield was a couple years ago. The best 100-point player that's never hit 100 points. Marner was in that category as well. So for the New Jersey Devils, it's Jack Hughes getting healthy. A lot of health stuff here on the wish list, which is classic. People are always praying and asking Santa for health. And hockey, the hockey world's no different. Washington Capitals, um, feels like they're kind of playing with house money right now. They were struggling for quite a while there, and they've really bounced back, started playing some better hockey. I think their wish list probably is just like continue to get Alex Ovechkin some goals. That's maybe low down on the list for them actually, but as a fan watching from the outside, I want them to just keep feeding Ovechkin like they did last year. I know they're not doing it this year again. Last year, I mean, that guy had so many shots on net; it was crazy. Um, I would say Logan Thompson's probably on that wish list to stay healthy. He's one of the best goalies in the league if he can stay healthy. They also just want to keep going. Maybe an easier matchup in round one. Montreal was like sneakily tough, and everybody knew last year that they were going to get whipped in the second round. So maybe Logan Thompson staying healthy and being the goalie for Team Canada as well. I think he should be. That should be on their wish list as well. It's a good thing when your players go. I know it's always like a little bit of a debated topic. Teams that have a lot of players go to the Olympics or to Four Nations or the World Cup when it was around. It's challenging because it's so much added hockey, but it's such a good thing for your team. I mean, those guys are getting experience that they wouldn't get anywhere else. The Philadelphia Flyers, they kind of got their wishes granted when Zegras came over in that Paling trade. He's been great for them. I would say continued relationship growing for that team. I would say just some friendship. I think they should just ask Santa for the gift of camaraderie within that team. Obviously, the Michkov and Couturier battle was going on. Seems to have kind of settled down. They've won 3 in a row. They look good. Goaltending, maybe they could. Hopefully, Vladar keeps it up. But I would say camaraderie, just some good old fashioned bro time in Philadelphia to get everybody on the same page, and it seems like they're getting that. So maybe they don't even need to ask that for yet. The Pittsburgh Penguins. I mean, I don't think that they're gonna make the playoffs, but if I was on their team, I would be praying that they stay in the hunt because that's the only way they're going to keep Crosby around. Obviously, Ben Kindle's been great for them. Having rookies and young guys jump in is going to keep them afloat. Goaltending's kind of rearing its ugly head. Silovs and Jari are not playing great right now. They got lit up by Toronto, and really they're kind of the reason they lost to Toronto. I would say to stay in the hunt. That's their wish. They don't need to be in the playoffs. They need to be close enough that Crosby doesn't get dealt at the deadline. Even though I would love to see Crosby get dealt at the deadline, I think that their wish list would just be to stay in the hunt. They don't need to stay. They don't need to be in the playoffs. They need to be close to the playoffs when the trade deadline comes around, so that there's no real threat of trading Crosby. They can make a run to the playoffs. And when they're in, you never know. Crosby's such a leader that team could make a serious run. The New York Islanders. This team doesn't get to ask Santa for anything. Actually, they're not allowed anymore. They got everything. Matthew Schaefer looks like he's going to be one of the best defensemen. He looks like he's going to be a Norris Trophy winner for years and years and years. This guy is so good. They lucked out. I wasn't sure about him, to be honest. Obviously, didn't get to see him at the World Juniors much. I do think if he was there, if he wasn't hurt, Canada probably would have had a better chance of winning gold. But they don't get a wish. They really don't. They got Matthew Schaefer in the draft. They shouldn't have gotten the first overall pick. They did. That's going to change their franchise, honestly. And if they don't make the playoffs this year, which they probably won't, good. Like, get another high pick. Like, that should be, you have a pillar defenseman that you can build around. And if you look around the league, every team that's been successful has that guy. This is your time. You don't get a wish list. Sorry, Islanders fans. You got all your wishes granted, and you should feel very lucky to have Matthew Schaefer on your team. So no wish list, no Christmas gift for the New York Islanders. The New York Rangers, they probably got quite a few things. They're in a similar situation to, I think, the Leafs, where the issues are kind of endless. They don't know what to do. I would say on their Christmas wish list is a better home record to get the demons out of Madison Square Garden for the rest of the season. They're 2-8-1 at home. They're 11-4-1 on the road. If they were a 500 hockey team at home, they would be they'd be close to winning that division right now. They'd be close to first place. 11-4-1 on the road is one of the best road records in hockey right now. They've played a lot of road games, but they're 2-8-1 at home. That is what's killing them. That is the only thing. They need to get some home cooking. New York City just not been kind of the New York Rangers. They need to do something. Maybe like confer with the Knicks and be like, what are you guys doing? Because the Knicks are doing really good right now. I would say they need some bounce back there at home. If they can become a 500 hockey team at home and continue their strong play on the road, they will bounce back and make the playoffs. They're not that far out. They are a point out of the playoffs right now. So the New York Rangers they're just praying that home becomes where the heart is. Home becomes where they can have some success. And finishing it off today, last team, the Columbus Blue Jackets. I mean, I don't know what to say about Columbus. They're once again, I mean, they're only 2 points out of the playoffs. They're not far out. I would say health is probably a thing for them as well. Fantilli's been great this year, but I think if I my what am I trying to say? My stats, my thoughts are correct. I do believe they have quite a few injuries that are kind of killing them right now. I think Marchenko's out, if I'm not mistaken. I think they do have a couple injuries right now that are kind of hampering them. So health is probably number one for them to get back into everything. Maybe it's not Marchenko, but anyway. Jenner's hurt again. Of course he is. I think also maybe this is what we'll go with for Columbus: the continued play of Jet Greaves. He's obviously the starter there now. Merzlikins is not. And Jet Greaves at 281 and 901 save percentage. That's good enough. That's honestly good enough. If the rest of the team shows up, Jet Greaves is good enough to win you some games. He can do it. So I'll say maybe continued play from Jet Greaves. Also maybe some health there. There was a scare with Zach Werenski. I could talk about Zach Werenski a lot. Him as a defenseman, it doesn't look like he's giving any effort. It's like the contrasting if you watch Lane Hudson and Zach Werenski. It's like it's exhausting trying to watch Lane Hudson play hockey. And I would be exhausted playing like Lane Hudson. I wish I was more of a Zach Werenski type player. Doesn't look like he's given any effort. Leads the team in scoring. Incredible player. That's our Christmas wish list. That's it for the Eastern Conference. We're going to do the Western Conference next week. If you guys have any comments, of course, write in. Give me some wishes that you hope for your teams, your favorite teams. We're going to get to talk about the Calgary Flames next week, which I love because their wish list should be pretty plain and simple, and it should just be to trade people. The Edmonton Oilers should be wishing for a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff they should be wishing for. They're similar to the Leafs, not with the health, but that'll be fun. We do have a beer league game tonight. I don't really have much to update you on. We haven't played since last week, and we talked last week. I'm going to try to get some video tonight. I believe Steve Kenway is coming to the game. I don't know if I'll be his partner or not. If not, I might bring my phone on the bench and get some video for you guys, and we can break it down. We'll see. I will try. I will commit to trying for you guys to getting some beer league content. I actually don't know the rules around that either, so we will see on that. Anyway, thank you guys for joining. Love you guys. Wish somebody would comment. Just one comment would be incredible. Make me feel like I'm not alone in this, even though I know there's a few viewers. It'd be nice to get a comment and have some conversation with you guys. We'll see you guys next week. Enjoy the first week of Advent. Enjoy the first week of December. And we will chat to you guys next week.